going on, guys? It is finally week 7 of fantasy football, and we are here to talk about trades and targets. As always, my name is Jaden, and we have our resident expert Caleb over here on the wonderful television. We are Fantasy Tomorrow. I don't know why I forgot to say that in the beginning. And if you like hanging out with us each week, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Hopefully you know a little bit more about stock market than I do, because apparently it's very valuable. But I do know the number one rule: buy low, sell high. And Caleb over here tells me that that's the same rule in fantasy football. So with that being said, we are going to talk about targets and trades. So Caleb, who are you considering players to target for week 7?
So a couple of players that I think you should be trading for. One, of course, is Cam Newton, quarterback for the New England Patriots. Now, Newton was not great in his return to action. He's coming back off of the COVID list. He had COVID, so it was a little shaky this past week against the Broncos. But I think Newton's a good option if you need a quarterback. He has a very high floor just due to his rushing ability, and he could end up being a very valuable quarterback once things start to click again for him. So you should be able to go out and buy Newton right now while his price is relatively low. Then also try to go out and buy Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt had a terrible game, probably the worst game of his season this past week against the Steelers. But we know the Steelers are an amazing defense, and they really eat running backs alive. So Hunt's going to rebound. He's very valuable. If his owner is overly emotional and desperate and ready to get rid of him, take advantage of that and go and get Hunt. And the same can be said for Odell Beckham Jr., his teammate. Again, had a bad week 6 against the Steelers, but he's going to rebound. He's going to get more consistent, especially once Baker Mayfield comes back from injury. So if you can trade for either Hunt or OBJ, I would do it. Now, a couple of teammates that you could also probably trade for that are not doing so great this season, or at least this past week, are Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Now, Mike Evans, he had a terrible week 6. He only had like 1.5 points in half PPR, which is, of course, not good. But he is Tom Brady's favorite red zone target. And that's something, of course, that's going to have a lot of value in fantasy football. So if you can buy him low, do it. And then for Chris Godwin, he's still developing that chemistry with Tom Brady. He's missed a lot of time this year, but eventually he's likely going to turn into a possession receiver in Tom Brady's offense, which is something that you want to have on your fantasy team. So buy him while his value is still very, very low. Now, another wide receiver that I think you should be able to trade for is Jamison Crowder, wide receiver for the New York Jets. Now, we know that I don't like the Jets that much. They're not a very high upside team, but Crowder is like the one weapon on their team that can produce fantasy numbers. He had an off week this past week, but he was playing with Joe Flacco at quarterback. Once Sam Darnold returns, I think that Crowder is going to do better. And if Adam Gase were to get fired, I think that this whole offense could turn around and things would get much, much better, and Crowder's value would really skyrocket. So if you can get Crowder for a discount, go ahead and do it.
And now, which players should we feel okay with trading away?
Well, if for some reason you still have Carson Wentz on your team, I think that you should sell him now. He had a great week in week 6. He was in a really good game script where he was having to come back against the Ravens late in the game, so he's throwing a ton, and he put up quite a few points fantasy-wise. But he's looked shaky this year. He just doesn't look the same. He has a lot of injured weapons. There's not a whole lot around him right now. So I think that if you can sell Wentz to somebody in your league coming off of this really good performance, you should probably go ahead and do it, because I just don't know if I would trust him going on for the rest of the season. Also, Darrell Henderson, running back for the Los Angeles Rams. He's been good this season, but his role is likely going to decrease as the season continues because he's in a timeshare with 2 other decent running backs, and I think that eventually they're going to start eating into his workload. Now, Brandon Cooks, wide receiver for the Houston Texans, is someone you should also be able to trade away right now because he's had 2 games that have been very, very good. He's scored very well the last 2 games, but I just don't think that's going to be something we can count on week in and week out. So sell him while his value is high now, and you'd probably be happy for it. Then also Rob Gronkowski, tight end for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, we all know and love Gronk. He's one of the best tight ends to have ever played the game. But he's probably not going to be that same great tight end this year. So go ahead and get rid of him now, and I think it's going to be fine. He broke out, finally had a touchdown in this game in Week 6 against the Packers, but you should sell him high now, and it should be pretty easy to do because everyone knows and loves Gronk. So there's got to be somebody in your league who's willing to pay a very high price for Rob Gronkowski.
So guys, since we are in mid-season, we're going to keep seeing these values rise and fall. So please remember to like, comment, and subscribe so we can help take you guys or navigate you guys through these different value changes and make sure you're getting the best bang for your buck and the highest value that you can get out of your players. If you have any more trade questions or target questions, ask them on here. Go ask them on our social medias. Everything will do. I promise we'll get back with you. As always, this is our resident expert, Caleb. Everyone say thank you, Caleb. Thank you, Caleb. I'm going to throw a little recap up here. My name is Jaden. This is Fantasy Tomorrow, where we're giving you the information to learn today and win tomorrow. Bye, guys.